What's up YouTube, Webberz05 here, coming at you today with Q&A number 55. So once again guys, today's questions are brought to you by my good friend Darkmagician84. Thank you very much my friend. So without further ado, let's get into the questions. 1. Will Odd Eyes make a return someday soon? Not as Odd Eyes per se, but there is a large assumption of Odd Eyes within Master of Pendulum. Essentially, my Master of Pendulum is a deck revolved around Odd Eyes that I've allowed to do multiple different things. So, if you would like to see it in return, then by all means, come and challenge me with my Master of Pendulum anytime you see fit, my friend. 2. Did you see my top 10 Yu-Gi-Oh cards other players hate me using? I saw that you uploaded it. I have not yet had a chance to take a look at it. I've been kind of busy setting up for my Masters 8 Invitational later today. Yes, for those who are watching, my Masters 8 Invitational is later on today, so I will be recording event content from that, so look out for that within the next few days. But back to the question here. No, I have not. No, I have not seen it, but I will try and get around to it when I can, because that is quite interesting. Because you're a pretty chilled guy, Richie, so I can't think of what cards you would play that people hate you using. 3. Have you played Among Us? If not, would you want to? No, I haven't played it, and I'm not sure if I would want to because I don't know what the series is about. Someone would have to tell me, or I'd have to look it up to figure out if I'd want to play it first. So, not really sure. 4. With you, Bell, getting support in Phantom Nightmare, which archetype do you think will get support next in the set after? So I had to do a bit of research into this because naturally when Konami releases new stuff, for several years they based it around the anime series, which is what we got for pretty much everything from the original series up to Vrains, and then after that the anime converted into Rush Duel, which is a completely separate format to itself, and so since they can't bring Rush Duel cards into the main set, they had to change things up in the main line, so they instead started doing legacy support, which frankly I quite like the change. So I took a look at what we were in currently, because naturally as we changed into Duelist Nexus, we're now in Series 12. I took a look back over Series 11 to see how they kind of did it, and frankly it followed a bit of a pattern that they did two sets for each series, which I think is good because it's like naturally we do typically get like 12 sets within a series, so there's now 6 series of Yu-Gi-Oh, so 2 per set, that's a decent bit of legacy support for each of the main summoning methods as well, which is pretty cool. And so naturally I checked through the last series, and so far the current series is actually following the exact same pattern of how the last series went. So we're currently 3 sets into Series 12, or technically 1 set in the TCG, but they're about to be 3 sets in the OCG for you. So currently in Series 12 we've got Duelist Nexus, the upcoming Age of Overlord, and the recently revealed Phantom Nightmare, which from what I see is 5Ds, Arc 5, GX. Though technically from Series 11, the first 3 sets were Rise of the Duelist, Phantom Rage, Blazing Vortex, which Rise of the Duelist was more original series based completely around Gaia, which is pretty standard for what they like to do with the game. Whenever they're in a new series, they always add a new Gaia monster, which is a nice change. And then they did Phantom Rage, which again is an Arc 5 archetype, so that's coming adjacent with Age of Overlord. And then Blazing Vortex, which was based primarily around Chaz's Armed Dragons, which is GX, and now they've chosen Phantom Nightmare, which is also GX. So following that pattern, so if you follow through from that pattern, naturally kind of ignoring Rise of the Duelist, Duelist Nexus, because naturally they're just going to try and base that off a card that they think is just going to work for it. And then they just adjusted it frequently and put the 5D support a bit later, but anyway. So if they follow that trend, the set after Blazing Vortex was Lightning Overdrive, which was a Zexal set. And so, thinking of how it's been going, from how it's been going so far, we've got Age of Overlord, which is based on Zark, which was the essential final antagonist of the Arc 5 era. Got Phantom Nightmare, which is based on New Bell, which was again the final antagonist of the GX era. You know, naturally, if you exclude the Darkness arc that we didn't get in the dub, which makes sense. So for that reason, that would stem to believe that if the next set is based on Zexal, and following the trend that they seem to be doing, like the pretty much final antagonist in the series, my guess is they will probably base it either. My guess is. So part of me was thinking the final proper antagonist of Zexal was kind of Nash, but in the recent side set they've done Nash support, so they're probably not going to do that. But then going backwards through the next would be Don 1000, which again he's kind of had his support when we got the Numeron stuff. So if you go before that, and this is probably what my guess is going to be, that would probably be around Vector. So I would like to see some more stuff based around him. So I think this could be a good time for it, because Umbral Horror is his Umbral Horror deck was quite an interesting thing in the anime, but we've got like nothing of it within the TCG except for like 2 to 3 monsters, I think. And Masquerade is still an Umbral Horror monster, and Masquerade's had like no support whatsoever. Like, lots of the other over 100 numbers have seen support, because like Nash has had his loads of shock support over the years. I've forgotten what Rio's Baron. Oh, Moraine. Yeah, Moraine, she hasn't really gotten anything yet, but she was a bit of an iffy archetype. She didn't really have too much interaction in Baron. Then there's Demand with Star Seraph. Star Seraph could be interesting to see them get a bit more support, because they've never really done too much. And so then the Umbral Horror, which, as I've suggested, I think could be really good for them to bring in support for. Then Hands. Hands have had loads of support over the years. And then the other ones are like Battle and Boxer and Galaxy Tachyon. They've all had support. They've all had recent support, so they don't really need it. So yeah, I think Umbral Horror would be pretty good to see support for in the set after a Phantom Nightmare. 5. Have you ever been to Herne Bay or anywhere else in Kent? I don't think I have. I probably remember if I did, but I can't, so I don't think I have. But if you'd recommend it, maybe I will potentially consider giving it a go if I get the chance at some point. 6. Why do you think people say there's no good wind archetypes, even though Magispectors were a thing and Wind Witches are a thing? So I did take a look through the assorted major wind archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh! And and frankly, they're not really wrong. Most of the wind archetypes, they do a little bit on release, and then they just kind of get power crept out because they don't really do as much as you think. I mean, we haven't really had like a major wind archetype recently. I think probably one of the most recent ones is, frankly, like, probably the closest you could call for a wind archetype that we've had recently is Flanderies, but naturally Flanderies is a mix of water and wind, so it's not like a pure wind archetype. And I think from what I found in the issue with wind archetypes is they keep giving it too good support, and then they just have to like crucify it. Because the last time wind got some good support was when they did the Simorg. When they brought the Simorg link into the TCG. That gave a bit of a buff to like wind-based, wing-based decks. so they could like drop a free monster from their deck, either like Apex Avian or at the time Barrier Statue, which subsequently brought, which the combo with it and the Barrier Statue subsequently got some more banned, but then Fluanderies found a way to just rota for it, normal summon it and put it on the board, which was even worse, and then they had to ban the Barrier Statue. So I think so much the problem with wind attribute decks and why they're not good is because whenever Konami releases wind attribute support, it's typically like too good. They give like one deck, one specific card that's like, dude, this card is so broken in this deck. Why did they create this in the first place? And then subsequently their card gets banned. And then from there, people just don't really go into wind attribute based decks. So yeah, I think the problem with wind decks is that Konami just hasn't figured out the right way to like balance them yet. But who knows, at some point maybe they'll figure out a way to get it right. I mean, currently Smorg's banned, Barrier Statue's banned. Now's probably a pretty good time to start figuring it out. But who knows. 7. Are fur hires a joke to anyone who described Plunder Patrol as being cool to have an archetype based on pirates? Fur hires were based on pirates first. So to answer that briefly, yes, they are a joke because because technically speaking, fur hires are not based on pirates. Fur hires are based upon mercenaries. The difference between a mercenary and a pirate is pirates essentially pirates travel the sea, doing pretty much plundering, pillaging, doing pretty much whatever they want. Mercenaries do similar things to pirates as a job. They get hired by people. Mercenaries are, as the term goes, sell swords. They will sell themselves off they will get paid to do not very nice jobs for other people. So that is essentially the main difference between like mercenary and a pirate, and hence why people don't really consider the fur hires as pirates. Sorry to say, my friend, but that's just fact. And question 8. Throughout your Q&A series, what was your favourite question? So I had to spend a decent bit of time backtracking through all my Q&A episodes to figure out which question I wanted to go with. At some point I did start hitting the questions where you started asking me about specific cards, so once I found what that was, I just started backtracking through the videos before then until I found one which I really liked. And I think the question I liked most was, I think on my 5th episode, my Q&A question, Q&A number 5, in which you asked me if there was a format in the past that I could play back through and which one it would be. That was a good question because it got me thinking back to one of my favourite formats in the game, which was August 2016 when I was on Nirvana High Paladin Turbo, and I've actually got a list on my phone that actually has named all the past Yu-Gi-Oh formats. I just need to locate where it is, unless I deleted it. I may have deleted it. I might have to check through on my Facebook because I sent it to Max. Bear with me one sec, guys. Media files. Ah, here it is. So the format I'm thinking of. God, this is a really terrible picture. 2016. Yep, the format after Draco Pals and before ABC, which is officially dubbed as, that was Monarch format. So yeah, Monarch format. That was probably one of my favourite formats in Yu-Gi-Oh! Not so much for Monarchs themselves, because Domain Monarch was not fun going up against, but I did very much enjoy the deck I was playing at the time, which, as I said, was Nirvana High Paladin Turbo. Because Cosmo was also really huge at that time, and Meteor Burst Dragon just shits all over Cosmo, so that felt great. And on that note, guys, that is all the questions I have today. So thank you very much, Dark Patrician, for your questions. Very amusing as always. And if anyone else has any questions for me, feel free to post them in the comments down below. And I do these Q&As every Wednesday UK time, morning or afternoon, depending on my schedule. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. But additionally, guys, keep a lookout on my channel over the next few days, because I will be uploading videos from my Masters 8 Invitational of the top 8 players from our combined locals, duking out for a chance to be the best. So look out for that, guys. And once again, thanks for watching. See you next time.